You're listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast, celebrating hunting dog heritage, competition, and community. United Kennel Club has been the hunting dog sports home for coonhounds, beagles, retrievers, pointers, cur, feist, and more for over 125 years.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Domenick Muoio. I'm the Hunt Test and Field Trial Program Manager here at the United Kennel Club, and I'm joined with Todd Kellam, one of our VPs here. And we were going to talk a little bit about the Shed Dog Nationals, but I know we're on the topic of shed dogs, and Todd's got his little cocker, and you're about to start banding some woodcock, and you're probably going to start stumbling on some sheds soon, right?
Yeah, so I'm transitioning right now. I've been running the cocker, and unfortunately, I don't think, but we have a lot of bucks that are still holding on to some antlers. So we've had some very limited success, and now we've got woodcock hens that are sitting on eggs. So the cocker's going to have to stay home while I run the setter, and everybody has to take their turn, I guess.
Yeah. When do you guys start that? I knew it's in the spring, but I didn't know if you guys had started that yet.
Yeah, so we just found our first hen sitting on eggs last week. It really gets going. It peaks about May 1st, but end of April, everything's a little bit early this year, so it should be getting going. What are you working on down there in the Carolinas with your dogs?
Man, I need to get them out and get them to knock the dust off so we can head out to some of these HRC tests that are coming to our area. There's actually, I think for the first time ever this spring, there was a local club was hosting an upland quad, and my older female picked up 2 upland passes last fall, and I was like, man, that would have been awesome to go to, but that was the week after my daughter was born, so I was home during that time. That would not have been a good time to leave.
No. But yeah, we took a time out of our schedules to go to the Shed Dog Nationals, and hey, I thought it was a good trip.
Yeah, I heard a lot of positive things about it, and there's a lot of changes that came about with this year's Nationals. I mean, we're at a completely new location, which also brought about a new banquet hall, new grounds for dogs to run on, and just overall new flow. And I've been involved with the Shed Dog program for a little over, I think, 3 years now, or I've at least seen 3 nationals. And so I've seen a lot of changes just in that short time with the growth of the sport and the growth of that national event. But I know you've been there since day one of the sport entirely. And I kind of want to pick your brain and get your thoughts on the changes that have come to the Shed Dog Nationals as you've known it.
Yeah, it's very rewarding to have been there from the start and to see how it's progressed. And I couldn't, and I say UKC in general, we couldn't be, more happy than the way this sport is progressing. So, boy, from that first one in Ohio, where we had 55 dogs, I think, till this weekend where we had 182, something like that, pre-entered. That is just, in that short a time, that is great. And it makes sense, right? We're seeing new clubs pop up all around the country, even on the outskirts. So, those areas are going to fill in with more clubs, and more people get into it and see how much fun it is, and they want to come to the national, the big stage. So it's fun to watch it grow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of our competitors coming down from Canada, coming up from Texas. There's some clubs as far east as New Jersey and as far west as Oregon and Washington. I mean, the sport's booming, but with the national, it's been growing with the sport as well. And something that I like, it's been the second year of us doing it, is that 3-day format. I know years ago it was a 2-day where judges had to judge 2 complete flights on Saturday, and man, it was pretty hectic back then. I saw 1 year like that, but I know you worked a lot more years.
those first few years, we were lucky to make it to the banquet. The banquet would be started before we even rolled in. So I was thinking about that on my way in this morning. That is the single best format change that we've done, for sure. We couldn't even do it without that today. So that was great. But there's been a lot of other improvements, even the ones behind the scenes, like, how our team tracks the dogs' runs as they're coming in, the scores and times. It's really progressed.
Oh yeah, I know you talked about the first couple of years that you guys ran nationals. You were essentially constantly running a golf cart or something out to each field, grabbing those physical scorecards from the judges, bringing them back to the headquarters, and someone at headquarters was putting them in, and that basically ran all day long. And I think about the time that I came for nationals the first time was we implemented an electronic scoring system where the judges were submitting something to a live feed, and we did that about 2 years. And this past year, we had, as UKC, we had a new entry system come about for clubs to use, and we were able to pilot that for entries for nationals and pair it with our own version of that live scoring software. And so each year that's getting better and better to where those judges are typing in the time, the competitors are signing their name on their scorecard, and the second they hit submit, people back at the parking lot can see, oh, Wakita just ran. I know I'm 3 dogs behind her. I'm going to go air my dog and get to the holding
Yep.
blind.
Boy, that sure helps make it run smooth, doesn't it? And credit to Katie and Megan, and I know you had some input with that too. So our staff did a great job pulling that all together.
Yeah, it gets better each year. The little things we're able to offer the competitors, and that's all due to having a fantastic team around the sport.
Yeah, so one of the other things that was new, I shouldn't say new, the very first nationals that we did down in Ohio, it was nice because I had some local help there with Rob and Aaron Lewis. And you don't understand, well, you do now, how big of a factor that is. Then skip forward to Rend Lake, we didn't really have that luxury. We did have judges and participants that would come in, a day early and help us, which, I appreciated that. But now this year, we're back to a location where we've got a lot of local support. So a shout out to Jason Wagner, his dad, Jim Wagner, Kevin Boyer was there to help us, tear down courses. And man, is that ever a nice luxury to have.
Yeah, I mean, even on top of teardown, being able to have those guys that are boots on the ground in location beforehand that can help suggest to us food trucks, that can help suggest to us shed planters, get us in touch with those, able to participate. Like I know Jason Wagner's Whitetails Unlimited chapter, they donated coffee and donuts each morning. And being able to do cool stuff like that, and Jason Wagner connecting us with some young ladies to sing the national anthem live. I mean, there's so much cool stuff that comes from having local support in the sport. And I'll even take it a step back further. Jason's dad and parents allowing us to use their side-by-side and golf cart for the weekend. It that local support is definitely it helps the event become all it is, and it does help us as a UKC team as well. And I always think back 2 years ago, we had a food truck lined up and on contract to come out to Shed Dog Nationals, and then last minute they canceled. Well, it's you and me got down there early to set up some courses on like Tuesday or Wednesday, and we're just driving through town and we see a food truck. I think it was a fish and chips truck. And you and I just pulled off and said, "Hey,
Yeah.
Are you available Saturday and Sunday to come, and Friday too, to come out and feed some people at Rend Lake?" And he said, "I'm not, but my son is." And his son had a food
Yeah.
truck too. And I mean, that was a stroke of luck. But those are things that we're able to have planned out well in advance and have backups too by having local people there and the support of the community.
Yeah, I feel like Jason and Megan they talked so much starting, 6 months ago in preparation for this that, man, by the time I get brought into things and start heading down there, man, a lot of it's done. It's just a matter of putting it all together and let's go. So, yeah, thanks to Jason and Megan both. They put a lot of time in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the new location we're at was Ballard Nature Preserve, and I know 2 years ago at Nationals, Jason was one of the guys that approached you about them in general, right?
Yeah, I think the word had gotten out that we're always looking for, venues that will accommodate that event. And it's unique because ideally, I want a venue that has 6 courses to run dogs on that are all within a hub there of the headquarters so the people can park and, spend the day running dogs on different courses, not have to move their truck. There's not a lot of places you can do that. But Jason came up to me at Rend Lake and said, "Hey, I think I've got one that would work for that." I looked at it on my way home from Rend Lake that year and I thought, you know what? I do see potential here. So then the last summer, Nicole and I, we drove down there and spent a little bit more time checking out the Ballard Nature Center and checking out the banquet hall, the hotels. And that's when we decided to go ahead and make the move. It just checked a lot of boxes for things that we felt we needed for this event moving forward.
Sure. And it seemed to have worked out. I know there's a lot of concerns. Some people had concerns with the parking situation, but man, I don't think there was any issue with this past year. And the people over at Ballard were super understanding and super helpful. They even gave us suggestions next year if it booms and it continues to grow like it is. Hey, you can park over on this lawn or behind this pavilion. There's a grassy area people are welcome to park in. We were fortunate enough to have kind of a dry winter season, so the dirt and grass patches around the headquarters, those were all nice and firm, and they said, have at it. Anywhere you need to park, feel free. And so being able to have that support from the volunteers and folks over at Ballard also helped this event to be all it is.
Yeah, they're very accommodating. And I think, just by having a national event come to their area, it opens up some grants for them. So I think they're going to see some extended parking areas, being done on county grant money, because they've got a national event in their locale there. So that's going to work out for everybody.
Oh yeah, I know that's something that people don't think of very often, but there's a good bit of economic impact when these dog events roll to town, and I know those areas appreciate that too because it helps everyone. But you also kind of mentioned it. We have a new banquet hall. That every year has been a new banquet hall for me, and it started with the golf course banquet hall 3 years ago. Then it moved to a little event center down the road from our courses at Rend Lake last year, and then this past year we had that new banquet hall next to the hotel we had staff and judges put up in, and man, that was just a gorgeous facility.
It will be many years before we outgrow that one. But at the same time, with the crowd that we had, it didn't feel lost in there. It was set up perfect, and that event or venue, that banquet hall venue, their staff was on it, and it worked out great. For the first time in 3 years, we could actually hear the video that they do of the youth program. So that was a
Yeah.
big improvement.
Yeah, and the first time I saw it, I was like, man, this event center looks huge. I know we got a big sport, but I had the same fear of us going in there and kind of feeling like I had to fill up a convention center. And it was a big space, and there's a lot of space to grow. But like you said, it seemed to fit. It was a comfortable fit. It wasn't too tight. It wasn't overly large. They had a lot of amenities, a stage for us, audio equipment, projectors, enough space to have a photo op session and a stage.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a concession we haven't had.
Well,
at all that I
and
know of.
when you can, yeah, and you can spread out all the baskets. I mean, one of the highlights of the banquet, of course, is the fundraiser for the youth program. And our clubs around the country are so generous to bring in donations for the raffles. And it's nice to be able to spread that out, sell tickets. People are checking stuff out, bidding on the silent auction items, and just it really, it was perfect for that. And speaking of the fundraiser, I think, you know, due to the hard work, the ladies that put that on and the support of all the participants there, I think they raised in excess of $9,000 at this year's, youth fund raffles.
That's awesome. And that group as well, that youth scholarship crew, they also kind of made the they gave back to the community in the sense that they refunded all youth entries this year as well because of the result of people's generosity to that program. I mean, that's awesome as well.
Yeah, I thought that was a great, great move and well received
Mhm.
by the people.
Absolutely. And you know, while we're kind of on the topic of the banquet, one of the biggest draws of the banquet is our elite awards presented by Bone Clone. I mean, that's one of those feel good things where we get to recognize all of the nominees throughout the year and award our winner, and everyone gets that big round of applause from everyone there. Um, and I always enjoyed that aspect of the banquet.
Yeah, I really appreciate Bone Clone support. They've been there since day one. We missed not having Scott and Amy Kuchenbecker there this year, but they were well represented by Will Heckert. He did a great job all weekend. Had his table set up out at the event and helped you with the actual presentation of the awards. So they were well represented and. Everybody appreciates everything that Bone Clone has done for the sport of Elite Shed Dog Series.
Yeah. And speaking of Will, I got to sit down with Will a little bit. He's a previous ambassador of the year, Shed Dog Nationals judge, Shed Dog Nationals competitor, and he was there this past year representing Bone Clone, and he stepped in to judge a dog, I think along the lines of dog or two. But
Yep.
he's always been so involved in the sport. I got to sit down with him and do a little interview with him as well, and just kind of hear his thoughts on the growth of the sport. And it's fun to hear it come from somebody who actively competes. You and I, um, while we might go out and look for a shed or something in the spring, we're not as involved with the sport as these people that are out there running every other weekend. And so it's always fun to hear their perspective on the change.
Well, and that's why their input is so important. That's what we've got to base the, you know, any revisions that we want to make to the sports based on a lot of the input from our customers. So we appreciate them reaching out when they have a good idea or when there's a problem that might need to be addressed. That's how we're able to keep things moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and even after that conversation with Will, I ended up going over to the Bone Clone little stand they had set up there in headquarters and bought their Windicator because he was talking about it, and I was like, man, that's something that'd be perfect for my retriever stuff, so I can find the wind a little bit when I'm trying to plan a setup. So Bone Clone got a little bit of my money there too.
I'll tell you
Well,
who got some of my money. I was going to tell you who got some of my money was Roger Meadows.
yeah,
That was kind of, I
yeah,
think, part of the entertainment of the banquet was Roger walking around doing card tricks, and yeah, he got $1 out of me. I'll say that.
yeah. I was gonna say, when we're talking about some of the big winners at the banquet this year, I think Roger made out like a bandit. I don't think a single table didn't donate to the Roger Meadows Fund. If you'll have it, that was fun to
uh,
watch him do his little card tricks, and he's good at it too. I was
oh
trying to see if
yeah,
he
that
had any
was good.
more. Well, we can use that to dive into the other winners of the banquet, our lead award
Yeah,
winners.
let's recognize them.
Yeah, so um, previously we made some changes to our Dog of the Year format, and um, it seemed to be well received. We went to being able to have a fixed schedule for Dog of the Year events. People seem to have liked that, and so the first Dog of the Year winner under the new format this past year was 10-time Elite Shed Dog, RPM Tyra's Frozen Shot of Ammo Hall of Fame dog. She had well over 300 points. Of all of the events she went to, half of the time she was on a podium. And of all the time she was on a podium, half of them she was in first place. I mean, there's it's hard to find a more consistent dog than that right there.
Yeah, that's Tundra. And, one of the other things that's impressive is she works for, it sounds like a lot of people, had a hand in there running her and putting placements on her. So what a great work ethic. And God, I'm super happy for Jeff Rada and family for their success with Tundra.
Yeah, I mean that she was a fantastic dog. She could hardly be touched all year long, and so, I mean, well deserved. Then in our non-retriever dog of the year, we had a little cocker, a two-time grand champion shed dog, Luke Clay's Lunar Eclipse. Um, she was owned by Amy Kuchenbecker, and I know for national she's run by Aaron Lewis, but I think she was run by Aaron Lewis the majority of the season as well. But you have kind of a unique connection to that breed, so.
Yeah, and you'll hear some of that in the interview that I did with Aaron down there. But I think Scott put some passes or points on her as well. But Luna, this is her second time winning that category. So, what a great little dog. I'm so happy for Amy and all the connections for Luna.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about her, one of our champion courses, I'm sure we'll circle back to that before we get into our winners of the national. But one of those courses we looked at and we're like, man, this is some taller cover. And I think he even made the comment, I'd bird hunt out in this. And
Right.
I think Erin mentioned she was slightly concerned with that course just because it was taller grass and didn't know what the wind would do and didn't know how Luna would do in it. And she put up a really formidable time in that course. And I got to think it goes back to those roots of those little Cocker Spaniels working birds in that type of cover.
Yeah, you mentioned that. We'll get into it probably later, but the courses fooled us. Some of the courses we thought would be tough, the dogs did extremely well on, and a couple of the courses we thought, they'll probably smoke this one. That one of those caused, some lengthy runs. So you never know. Just depends on the wind.
Yeah, depends on the wind and just what type of day the dogs are having. But
yep.
Huge congrats to Luna and Aaron and the Kuchenbeckers. I mean, that's awesome to see those dogs perform so well throughout the season. And she found her way on the podium too, dealing with dogs like Tundra that were at these Dog of the Year events. She still ended up on a podium. So, I mean, she's a tough little dog.
Yep.
And then our working class Dog of the Year went to Melton's Picking Up the Pieces. That's a team that hardly missed a weekend. And all of their runs, I mean, they were just as likely to end up on a podium. I think they only missed a podium a couple of times or a handful of times of all of those runs. So another extremely consistent dog, and we'll probably see Reese competing in champion next year. I'm sure she might make a run for Dog of the Year.
He is not afraid to get in his truck and hit events and puts a lot of work into it, and is rewarded for it. So there you go. It's a good model for everybody.
Yeah, works hard, puts in the hours, has a good dog. Um, Next up was our youth handler of the year winner. Um, this young lady, I mean, she's super polite, a little bit bashful in front of the crowd, but um, Emery Bianchin. I really hope I'm pronouncing their name right. I feel like I always mispronounce it. But yeah, she went out there and she competed hard this year. Um, and she looked a little bashful when her name got called up there to the stage. But I looked over when she was at our photo op area off to the side, and she was just beaming, ear to ear, grinning. So I know she was proud of herself for her efforts. But what a great young lady to win it.
Yeah, I was so happy for, all the kids that were nominated that were up there, for the quarterly nominations. They were all well deserved, and I just feel like, we're involved in a lot of other hunting dog programs, and come on, we have good families in all of them, but I'm just so proud of our youth in the Elite Shed Dog series, which we just have a good bunch of kids in that program. I was happy for her.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I actually sat down and did a little interview with her too, and you can tell how much she loves the sport, loves her dogs, and how much fun she has participating in our elite shed dog program.
And winning out over the boys, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a little bit of that. Uh, I'm sure she'll hold that one up there.
Yeah.
Then our club of the year winner that went to a local club to Michigan, Capital City Dog Sports Association. And something I think is unique to that. I mean, one, they put on fantastic events this year, but uh, they're they're also one of our all breed sports clubs. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the the sports that they really put on the most are nose work and weight pull and some other things. But I think the participation, and this is speculation, but I think they get such good participation and bleed over from being able to have nose work and shed dog under the same roof with their club. I mean, there's a good bit of crossover behind the idea of the two sports.
Yeah, they get a lot of support because of that. And the other thing is, they're good at putting on events because they do put on a lot of events, and that's something you get better at. And people want to go to well organized, successful events. They have a lot of carryover support. There you go.
Yeah. So I think it also goes to show that if you're involved in nose work and you're curious about something that gets you outside, try shed dog. And if you're in shed dog and you're looking for a sport that you don't have to worry about the weather for, might be worth giving nose work a try too. Um, it's always fun, pushing your dogs, teaching them something new, get them out of you know cycles or any bad routines that they start getting in. Hey, let's change it up a little bit, but keep it on the same track. Then our next award winner was our judge of the year. Our judge of the year was also one of our national judges, and she had been a national judge, I think, for every year except for the very first one, and that's Darcy Greger. Uh, Darcy judged well over 2 dozen assignments this past year. I mean, and everywhere from like New Jersey to Michigan to I think she went down to Missouri for one, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, she burnt up the roads to judge this year.
Yeah, so I'm so happy for Darcy. Everybody loves her, and she's one of those judges that makes people feel comfortable coming to the line, and to give that much of your time to advance the program so that other people can run dogs. That's a very selfless thing to do, and I'm so happy for her.
Absolutely. And I sat down and did a little interview with her too, and she'll talk a little bit more about the event she went to and what it took to be judge of the year. But yeah, just such a kind-hearted and well-meaning person, and does so much to make sure the sport keeps going. Because to have an event, you need a judge. So she well deserved, and huge congratulations to Darcy. Our next winner is our Ambassador of the Year. Now, one of the cool things I like about the Ambassador of the Year award is that it's not metric based. It's not around assignments or entries or averages or anything. It's around feedback from the sport. It's people who recognize effort that individuals are putting into to make the sport all it can be, to help it grow, to set a good example. And so I love recognizing those nominees. But also at the banquet, we have our voting slips. So our voting slips have all the year's nominees. And so it's a live vote at the banquet for who that crowd thinks should be that year's Ambassador of the Year. And, all of our nominees are super deserving and super great examples of competitors in the sport. But this year, the sport voted that Jason McPherson would be this year's Ambassador of the Year. And what a great person to win it, right?
Yeah, Jason from Show Me Shed Dogs out there in Missouri, that is one of the groups that does bring a lot of new people into the sport. He's there to help people. Like you mentioned, I think he actually let a new person whose dog maybe come in season, but still wanted to participate. Jason put one of his dogs, on that handler so that they could participate at the Nationals. That's just the kind of thing that really helps grow the sport. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but I believe Jason was involved in UKC's hunting beagle program before we started and developed the Elite Shed Dog series. So he had some backstory with UKC, and boy, he is doing a lot to help us grow the sport of shed dogs.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever seen him without a smile. And I got to sit down with him and talk with him as well, and get his thoughts, his advice for the sport, and talk about what his season looked like. But yeah, we had one of our competitors. I think it was a husband, wife, and they were bringing two dogs. Well, the husband's dog, I think, was a male, so of course it's not going to come into season. But the wife's dog, female, came into heat, and so it was essentially going to be the wife is just coming to watch the husband run all the way from Missouri, I think they came from. And Jason said, "Well, I've got multiple dogs entered. I'm happy to do a handler change. That way she has a dog to run, and she doesn't feel left out or on the sidelines all weekend." So, like you said, that's a great example of ambassador-like behavior, especially when it comes to nationals.
Yep.
Everyone wants to run at nationals, but and those are our elite award winners this past year. Bone Clone, like you mentioned, Will's up there handing out our certificates, and Bone Clone does these nice little awards for them. So appreciate their participation in that and their help in recognizing those individuals and clubs. But there's something new this year on top of it. We talk about a lot of newness in the sport. Well, Bone Clone came up with their own little award that they did a presentation on after we recognized all those other winners, and that was their Icon Award, which I think is a super cool name for an award. But it's essentially like their Handler Hall of Fame. And this year, Will Heckert did that presentation, and it went to such a deserving person. It went to Zoe Rada. Todd, I'll let you kind of tell, because you've known Zoe since she came into the program.
Well, so first of all, we got to give credit to Scott, because he's the one that wrote, the copy for the presentation that Will announced. And he doesn't have to get very far into it. And you know who he's talking about, right? There's not many handlers in our sport that have won virtually everything that you can win. And so, I'm looking across the room and watching over there, and you could tell that, and you could see everybody else around the room was like, before he even said the name, this has to be Zoe. But Yeah, so deserving and just happy for the Rada family. And Zoe came
Yeah.
out and judged for us this year, so
Mhm.
she's won everything there is to win with that little dog Cree, and I thought it was great to have her. And there again is another judge. It's comforting to new people or our youth handlers. I mean, she was just in that position not too long ago. She knows how to deal with it, and oh man, that was a great great recipient of that award.
Absolutely. And it's crazy the list of accomplishments she had, and I think almost all of them, if not all of them, were with one dog. And I mean, it's everything. It is everything. It's from youth handler of the year, youth nationals handler winner, uh, champion, or yeah, our shed dog champion, first dog to
First
I
Hall of
think
Fame.
yeah, first Hall of Fame, first dog to 2,000 points, I think, first dog to 3,000 maybe. I mean, the list just went on and on and on. I think Will said it was like a page and a half, if not 2 pages, of just bullet points of all the things that she's accomplished. And youngest handler, the youngest person to hold a judge's license in our UKC Shed Dog program, youngest national judge. I mean, she's just you talk about somebody that grew up in the sport. It's her.
Yep, that was a good one.
Absolutely.
And
And I
that's
do
kind of
get to
how the
sit.
banquet ended. That's how the banquet ended, on a good note like that. And then there was lots of photos being taken, but we still had to get up next morning and go back out and finish off the nationals. One more
Yep,
round.
that's right. And that's a good segue into what our nationals were this year. We talked a little bit about the growth and how they've evolved over the years, but I mean those new grounds we had a field course for both working and champion. Want to recognize our judges. We had Jeff Stingles judged every single national we've ever had. Darcy Greger, we mentioned her. She's judged all but one. Next up, as far as the veteran judge, is Lee Doyle. I think he's judged 3 now. Uh, then we had Norm Henderson. He's judged the past 2 years. Jeff Rada judged the past 2 years. Um, and then we had Zoe. And Zoe,
Yeah.
she, this is her first year judging. Um, that's she she did fantastic as well. And then
Yeah.
another newness to the sport was we had basically a full-time alternate judge on our judging lineup. Um, Ryan Waterman, he was available to kind of float around and uh, help out our other judges if there's any sort of conflict. I mean, he walked all the courses beforehand. He was familiar with it, able to jump in. So it's nice being able to have that alternate out there.
Yep, that's something we need to definitely do moving forward. That was, in the past, we kind of would get there to an event if we needed someone, then we got to scramble, go look for someone. To have an extra judge on the team that's, there for that reason to step in. Oh, that's well worth doing. I really like that.
Yeah, I did too. And I don't want to tell their story for him, but there were some unfortunate events that happened off of national grounds that involved a couple of our judges and their dogs, and unfortunately they lost some dogs. But um, being able to have an alternate judge to kind of ensure that those individuals had their time to kind of get their own affairs in order and get their minds in a good headspace was nice. And um, the you kind of talk about the silver lining a little bit of that situation. I mean, it's terrible, and our heart goes out to those families, but um, it also showed the love the sport has for each other and how much people are willing to step up in times of need. There's so many people that came to headquarters office and they were telling us, hey, we'll scratch our dogs if those individuals need some more time to collect themselves. We don't need to run our dogs. We'll stand in there to help them, and that type of outreach from the sport from countless individuals, it's heartwarming, and it kind of sends chills down your spine.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I think you summarized it well. Our condolences to Norman, Rusty, uh, Jeff, Zoe, and Cassie. Um, Boy, it was a somber start, but we got through it, and just wish them well going forward.
Um, as far as our our event as a whole, I mean, like you said, got off to a pretty somber start, but seemed to roll pretty smoothly. We got fantastic weather. I just saw an email from Darcy that said whoever was in charge of planning the weather, make sure they do it next year. I mean, blue skies, comfortable weather, no rain. Uh, what was it last year? We had basically a downpour on
Oh yeah.
the evening after check-in, and then all the courses were soggy. And if you didn't have about waders, you were getting wet walking your dog through those courses. But
Yep, weather was great. Everything flowed pretty smooth, I thought. We were out of there pretty early each day, and it went well.
yeah, done right around lunchtime each day, which was super nice. But um, I want to recognize our winners from this year's national. So in our youth division, in first place we had Mason Leisure, super nice young man. He was running kick ass 1 in 42 million, call name Pixel. He's owned by the Roops. Great dog, and such a great kid too. And they smoked it this year at nationals.
It just does your heart well to see those veteran dogs, and she's one of everybody's favorite dogs in the sport. You see one of those favorites that teams up with a youth, doesn't get any better than that.
No, and she seems like such a fun dog. People that know the dog will know what I'm talking about. But she's got a couple fun party tricks that some people were trying to get her to do for her win picture with Mason, and uh, I immediately went home and started re uh, reteaching my dog a new word for a similar trick, just because it was so funny. But
Huh.
yeah, they're a fun little team to watch, and did a great job at nationals this year. Then in second place was Quincy Selby running Elvis. I'll absolutely butcher the registered name on that dog, but Elvis is also owned by the Selby, so he's super familiar with the handler, super familiar with his dog, and they've made a great team all year long. You see them on all the reports with youth club weekend events, and so I mean they were another great team to watch.
Yeah, that's a good follow up. They had a great nationals last year, so they came back strong. And you know, to, there again, it's a family activity for them, and to see the whole family do well like that is, yeah, it's really says a lot about the sport, I think.
Mhm. And the Selbies, I think they're adding a youth handler to our lineup this fall. Is what they said. They've got their not quite their youngest, but their second to youngest is about to be old enough to show up on
Right.
those slips too. So there's there's a future for them to take the first three spots, and then in a few more years they've got their youngest who they've got a chance to sweep the podium in our youth division. Um, but I mean, they're an awesome family, and they're super successful at the sport, and love to see them up on the podium.
Yep.
Then next up in third place was Levi Lewis running Tulip Hills, Some Like It Hot, Monroe. Another team that you see year after year. They just make a good team, and super happy for Levi and Monroe. I mean, you've seen them. You've probably seen them for Every year the
Yeah, I've since. Yeah, and I think she's one of the younger dogs on their truck. But I did have a chance to watch Levi run her, and that dog is fast. And then Levi's so experienced, he's got it. He's confident, and he's got a fast little dog, and they put the runs together.
yeah, absolutely. And then in fourth place was Zach Meadows running Meadows Labradors coming in hot, call named Blaze. Another familiar name to the podium. I think the Meadows have had one of their boys up on the podium just about every year, and they're usually one of our nominees for our Youth Handler of the Year, and another great family in the sport. Um, love to see them find success and find their place on the podium this year too.
Yeah, and those young kids are running champion division too, and they don't need any help. They go to the line, by themselves, and they have a lot of experience for their age, and they've got
Yep,
good dogs. So that's what happens.
absolutely. Yep, Zach and his brother were both running also in champion, and like you said, they're almost running their own little truck there with their dogs.
Yeah.
Um, Next up was our working class. So winning our working class division was RPM's Light 'em Up, Fuse. Fuse was handled by Travis Meadows, and I think owned by, at the time, Scott Kuchenbecker, but Travis kind of hinted that doesn't know if Fuse will be going back there again.
Yeah. I thought that was funny. So, hey, I'm happy for both of them. However that works out, I'm happy for Scott. I'm happy for Travis. That is a good looking dog too. Uh, yeah, he was super excited about winning.
Yeah, I mean, she put up some scorching times, was super consistent too. And I have a interview as well with Travis, and we kind of talk about their experience. And at what point did they know they had a shot at winning the working class this year? But yeah, you look at some of her times, and she was smoking those courses. Then in second place was When the Cold Wind Blows Wakita, uh, run by Amanda Doyle. Uh, you know, another dog that is able to put up scorching times. Another handler that's super competitive and familiar with the sport. So all that kind of came together, and they found some success this year.
Yep, good team, obviously. So happy for those guys. That was a good showing.
Yeah, absolutely. Then in third place was Long Spurs. Here I Go Again, Tawny, and Tawny was handled by Ronnie Gramble. And you know, I know the Gramble family. They've been involved in the sport. And, you know, congratulations to
Yeah,
them.
I was happy for Ronnie, and I found time during the weekend too to tell Ronnie their son Tucker. I just think the world of that kid. He is an old soul and a young body. I talked to him at some holding blinds, and what doesn't matter what you want to talk about: turkey hunting, fishing, deer hunting. I just love talking to that kid. So happy for Ronnie and his family. Good to see him there, and it was a good weekend.
Absolutely, and not to get too far off topic, but talking about fishing, that was another concession that the new grounds brought to us. We had the kids fishing pond right there next to the parking lot. I know I saw some kids wetting a line out there.
Yeah, I think that was a good addition.
I agree. Then in fourth place in working was Riverstone's Buck. Um, Buck was handled by uh, David Larson or Dave Larson and owned by James O'Brien. That dog, you know, she had sub 2 minute times left and right on courses, and just was able to hang in there and take the fourth spot.
Yep, no stranger to the podium. Dave's been there before, so another example of doing the work with the dogs, and they will get to the podium.
Yep. Then this this year's national champion shed dog went to 3-time, well, now 4-time, because that was a first place win. Elite shed dog, started hunting retriever, running in Dancer's Shadow, Hall of Fame. Shade was owned and run by Ken Newcomb, and boy, they put on a good show this year.
That's one of the interviews you did that interview with Ken, and I'm looking forward to listening to it because I don't know her whole story, but I've heard it's interesting. And I mean, I know she's a 10-year-old female, right? And you know, that is to see her rise to the top at that event, man, that is very cool.
Yeah, you want to talk about an underdog in that interview? It kind of puts it into perspective how awesome of a win that was for them.
Yep.
So congratulations to Shade and Ken. I mean, well deserved. You guys put up some awesome times. In my interview with Ken, he mentioned that he does some wild bird hunting too. And, you know, we were talking about Luna and her finding some success in some bird field type courses. And I think Ken wild bird hunting a little bit with Shade helped her put up some pretty awesome times on that course as well. So it's we'll hear his thoughts on cross training for shed dog and bird.
I thought it was funny. I was talking to Becky afterwards, and she's like, "No, we're not in a hurry. If we miss work tomorrow, that's okay. We're soaking it all up, you know, and enjoying the win."
Oh yeah, they awesome family, and yeah, he was beaming ear to ear. I don't think anything could have ruined his day. In second place, not too far behind, was Grand Champion Shed Dog, 2 Arrows, Malibu Breeze, Mally. She was run by Ryan Melton and owned by Jason McPherson.
Yeah, that's great. Takes a lot to get there, man. It's a lot of factors that have to come together, and it's separated by seconds, you know.
Mm-hmm. And something that I think was pretty unique about Mally is she's out of Scuba Steve. Scuba Steve, if I'm not mistaken, is the first national shed dog champion, right? Didn't he win the first?
I think
nationals?
that's right. And I do know for a fact that he placed at our first national or elite shed dog series event ever. You know, I was at that event, and Reason was there, and I know Steve placed there because I got a chuckle out of his name. You know, so I'll never forget that.
Yeah, so that was pretty neat to look at the breeding behind that, and you know, see that recognizable name Scuba Steve in there. In third place, following up, was Elite Shed Dog Etched in Stone Indian Royalty, Sitka. Sitka was owned by the Rada family, but run by Dave Larson over the weekend. They put out a pretty good showing and found their way up on the podium. And she's a Hall of Fame dog. She's out of Hall of Fame dogs. I mean, it's in their blood.
Yep. There again, another one that's well bred out of, you know, family of shed dogs. And you know, Dave stepped up to run that dog because Jeff and Zoe, you know, committed to judge, and he did a good job with her.
Absolutely. And then in fourth place was Elite Shed Dog 4, Kick-Ass Little Bit of Black Ice, another Hall of Fame dog. She's got some finished dogs in her pedigree, but that's Loxley, owned by the Roops and run by Grant. They put up a great showing. You saw them, you know, just about every weekend showing up on results all season long, so you know they put in the hours, and you know, they were a familiar dog and handler combo.
Yeah, it was good to see Loxley and Pixel both get a piece of it. And I know Grant and Whitney are probably super happy about that.
Yeah, definitely proud of their dogs. And while we're talking about all of our Shed Dog of the Year or Shed Dog National winners, it's worth also mentioning our prize sponsors. So, our prize sponsors were Onyx, Wet Mutt, Tidewee, Gundog Supply. We also had Eukanuba, our dog nutrition partner of the United Kennel Club, Dogtra, the GPS collar partner of UKC, and of course Bone Clone, who's provided the antler scent for the weekend. So we want to make sure we thank all those people, and again, just send out a huge congratulations to all of our winning dogs, to all of our Elite Award winners and nominees. I mean, Nationals was a great event this year, and we look forward to seeing how much it'll grow next year.
I agree. We got a great, set of customers and participants at that event, and now it's we owe it to them that it goes as smooth as it does, because they're picking up after their dogs or where they need to be in holding blinds, and that's really what makes the event successful is the great support of our customers and participants.
Absolutely. Well, I think that about sums up our recap on Nationals, but
so they'll want to stay tuned for interviews, right? We got some interviews to follow this, and maybe even two episodes worth.
Oh yeah.
Alan, I know we both have new Dogtra Pathfinder 2s. How are you liking yours so far?
I'm liking it. I've even had the opportunity now to use mine where I didn't have service, where I download the map of that area, and it works flawlessly. Love it.
I agree. I really like my Dogtra Pathfinder 2 as well. I've used it quite a bit the past few months. I really like the crystal clear maps. I like that it doesn't lose service very much, and I don't have many bad things to say about it at all. Dogtra Pathfinder 2, the official GPS collar partner of UKC.
I'm Domenick Muoio, Hunt Test and Field Trial Program Manager here at UKC, and we are at the Shed Dog Nationals this year, 2024, and we got a new location, new banquet hall, we got these new fields. Everything is growing with the sport and with the participants. And Will Heckert's been here for quite some time, and he's here also representing Bone Clone, who's providing the bone scent for this year's Nationals. And I kind of want to talk to you, Will, about what you're doing here, what you brought along at your table, and kind of your thoughts of this trajectory we have with the new Nationals, and just pick your brain some.
Well, this location in Altima, Illinois has just been absolutely fabulous. We've had varying conditions all weekend, different temperatures, different wind directions. Of course, we've got 6 different fields for 2 different classes going on, and the times have been varying. We're really sorting things out. So it's really great to be here to see that stuff and then to represent Bone Clone here at the Nationals. And I've brought some product along. We've been making sure everybody's been taken care of with Bone Clone for their needs for the upcoming year. Plus, we've provided the Bone Clone for the UKC Nationals. We've been involved with this since the beginning. We're proud to be here, and we really enjoy being here, Domenick.
Well, thank you for being here. I saw you guys had that wind indicator stuff over there at that table, and with the wind swirling like it has been, I'm assuming that's probably been a pretty good product for you guys today.
Yeah,
huh?
we actually sell quite a bit of that. It's a very great product. It's the Cyclone Windicator. You can give it a shake and a nice little squeeze, and it puts out a nice stream of products so that you can see the direction of the wind. Very beneficial whether you're competition shed hunting, wild shed hunting, even hunting and fishing. It can play in to need to know which direction the wind is. And a lot of times you get out on a course and that wind does switch. It swirls. We've got courses here this weekend that are woods courses with ravines and different ways that wind does move in them. And then you go to a field and it's completely different than the wind was within the timber the day before. So I actually have sold quite a few. People's come in and, hey, this wind is crazy. We've got to have some of this. And it's easy to put in your pocket, and it's a great product to use.
Yeah, I've seen, I make my rounds around all the courses, bringing waters, grabbing scorecards, doing whatever we need to do to keep things going smoothly. And I feel like every time I see someone in the holding blind, they're shaking that bottle up and putting a puff in the air and just checking it before their runs. But that's something, I don't think I've ever seen something like that until I started doing this shed dog stuff.
Well, obviously, it's very important to know. We always talk about putting your dog's nose into the wind, and if you're a deer hunter, it's something you pay attention to a lot anyway, or a duck hunter. So it comes into all kinds of things besides the shed dog world, but it is a fabulous product for doing this. And one of the things that's unique about it is when you squeeze it, it comes out in a nice stream. It doesn't come out in big clumps. It doesn't blow back in your face and make you hack and cough. It's just a nice stream that comes out, and you can see exactly. And it takes very little air movement to make that move. So it's very efficient in what it does.
Cool. Now, I want to kind of go back to, the growth in this event in particular. You're one of our previous ambassador of the year. You're a competitor here. You've judged at nationals. So you've seen it continue to grow from like our previous grounds, multiple different banquet halls. And, I'm kind of curious as to what your thoughts are on this year's nationals, the courses, the layout, and the different trail system that we have here going to each and every course.
Well, the growth within the sport in the last 4 or 5 years has absolutely been amazing. As we've talked before, we've got clubs from coast to coast. I'm kind of pushing to make this an international event because we obviously have clubs in Canada, and we have competitors from Canada here last year and this year. And with growth in the sport, you have to grow where you're holding the nationals at. So I was a little apprehensive at first because where we've had it before has been so successful. And then I pull in here on Thursday and I'm like, wow, this is a great place. It's off of the main road, so you don't have to worry about your dogs getting out anywhere and getting in trouble. The trail system, it's been beautiful weather, but if it was raining, you got a solid surface to walk into to get back and forth. Everybody's been paying attention here. Everybody's been getting lined up. Things have been moving smoothly. There's room for growth here because there's all kinds of places to have different courses. I think you could come here every weekend and have an event and run a different course because it's such an expansive ground system and all kinds of different conditions. We've got mature woods. We've got some younger woods. We've got some tall fields, some short fields, all kinds of different things to set up. And, talking about the banquet facilities, we've had kind of cramped spaces the last couple of years, and that's because the sport has grown so much. This year, the facility was fantastic, lots bigger. Everything seemed to flow actually a little bit smoother. It seemed like we was always scrambling to get through everything. And everybody went, wow, it's over already, because we weren't scrambling. We weren't having things stacked on each other. The raffles went good. The awards presentations went good. The flow of supper went well. It's just been an A+ in my mind, the whole event this weekend.
Yeah, and there's a whole team that puts this on. So they do a fantastic job getting all this together. And I do want to also mention by name, these grounds that we're hosting these events on, it's the Ballard Nature Center here. They've been fantastic hosts of this. They've given us their space and their building here, and that's another thing that we've continued to grow. And this area, this little headquarters we've got here is perfect. I mean, we have room for all of those raffle items. Each year it seems like there's more and more raffle items, and it takes up almost an entire wall. We have all of that space available now, so nothing's cramped. No one's on top of each other when they're looking at those prizes. We have a nice space for headquarters table, people to come all around, and it's just nice to be in this headquarters, and that's thanks to this facility, Ballard Nature Center, for hosting us and allowing us to do this here. And then our banquet hall over at it was Carriage House Event Center is what we used, and man, they were fantastic as well, and they're part of the reason that went so smooth.
Well, and for those of you who may not know, we keep talking about these raffles. The UKC Elite Shed Series has a youth division, and these raffles we're talking about, we have a group of women that put together this raffle, and they come up with all kinds of stuff. We have clubs that donate baskets. We have individuals that donate different things. We had baskets with just about everything you can imagine in it. And then we had raffle items from fishing trips to a half a hog to crossbows, and all that money goes towards our kids and our youth scholarship program. And if you have a youth that's interested in doing this and you want to come along, most generally everybody puts on an event. They have the kids come, they let the kids do it for free, and there is a way that you can work through the system and come into nationals, and you can benefit from this scholarship program and these scholarship benefits when you get to the national level.
Absolutely. And one of our judges this year came up through that youth program. I mean, that's fantastic, right?
Yes, absolutely. Zoe Rada, she's been doing this since the inception, and she has made her move through the youth program into the championship program. Was one of the youngest, if not the youngest, person to ever have a judge's card, and she's here judging nationals this weekend. So, I mean, talk about growth. We've watched her grow from a young girl into a college-age student that's here judging, her first nationals.
Yeah, and I need to double check, but not only would have likely be the youngest to hold that judge's card, but she may I think she's the youngest judge for nationals as well. Along with that, I don't know that we've had a younger judge. Now, don't quote me on it, but I believe.
Yeah, I think you may be right, because
Yeah.
I think she may be the actual youngest judge, ever, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Something else to add to her long list of accomplishments.
Absolutely. I do want to touch on, while we're talking about the youth scholarship fund and that committee, they also took it upon themselves to cover the youth entries. They announced that at that banquet the other night, and they're making sure that these entries here for nationals is covered, and this is an accessible thing for those children.
Yes, absolutely. Like I mentioned before, I guess I do not know of a club that charges a youth to run. Everybody lets them run for free. And with the money that's generated through the scholarship program, there was enough money this year that, you're right, they announced last night they were refunding all the youth entry fees for the weekend, so that they actually got to run nationals for free too. So they ran all year for free. They come to nationals, they run for free with an opportunity to win a scholarship. I'm not sure there's another dog sport program that's doing something to that level.
Yeah, and I don't know that there is either, and greatly appreciate those ladies for all that they do for the youth in this sport.
Yeah, absolutely. They work their tails off, organizing, moving stuff back and forth between headquarters here and the banquet hall, and making sure that everything's where it needs to be, managing the tickets and doing all that. And they do that all on their own, use their time. They take nothing for it, and it's just their opportunity to give back to our youth.
Yeah, great bunch of ladies and a great program. We on to another thing you mentioned. We're talking about Zoe Rada, right? A product of the youth program, one of the youngest judges, if not the youngest to ever hold a judge card, the youngest judge here at nationals, super successful in the sport, right? And you and Bone Clone had a special presentation last night in honor of her. You mind telling me a little bit more about that and telling our listeners about that?
Yeah, so Bone Clone, as we know, is the official sin of the UKC Elite Shed Dog Series, and we provide the awards for all of our year-end winners. And so we've been doing that since the beginning, and we just got to thinking there needed to be something else to generate some more interest. And so Bone Clone come up with the idea to have the Icon Award. And so this Icon Award may not be something that'll be awarded every year. It may be every few years. It may be every 5. It may be every 2. When Bone Clone sees that somebody has made an impact on the sport, then there will be a committee that will talk about it and decide whether they want to offer this person this award or give this award to this person. So obviously last night we awarded the award to Zoe Rada, and I give her the paper that I read because I thought that she needed it. But going back to her youth, coming clear up through champion, her list of accomplishments, I had 3 pages of information that I read through last night, and presented her with that special award. She's the first one to have it, and she had so many firsts in her career that this is another first to add to her list. And when I got done, I made sure that I give it to her because it was written in our founder's words, and I'd done my best to read it in the way that Scott would like to have it read. And so I made sure that she got that copy. But she's absolutely an icon in the sport. She's someone that I've asked questions to on courses. She's got way more experience on a course than I have, and I've asked her questions, and we touched on that previously in a podcast. And so she was just a very deserving person to have that, and we look forward to forming our committee and looking for our next icon.
Well, I couldn't agree more. Definitely a deserving individual. And like you said, that laundry list of accomplishments and first in the sport overall, you said that was all with one dog.
With
right?
one dog.
With one dog.
Yeah.
So not only is that fantastic for her, but it just shows that teamwork between and then that bond and what can be accomplished between, handler and their canine athlete.
Well, absolutely. And the determination of Zoe and the hard work. And, she was going to school when all this was going on. She's actually in college right now. So the events that she gets to now, she's managing going to school. And just like this weekend, she's a full-time college student. So she's down here. She had to make time in her schedule to get down here to do this. And I can't tell you what her grade point average is, but I'll bet it's way better than mine ever was. She's a heck of a young lady, does a great job. She's an inspiration to the kids in the sport. And, with her grit and determination and willing to work and, manage her schoolwork and running dog sports. Like I said, there was no better pick for this Icon Award.
Yeah. I think I heard someone mention that this was her spring break. So some kids are going down to PCB or down to, really anywhere else. But here she is judging nationals.
I wouldn't expect any less out of her, would you, to come to a field trial on her spring break. That's Zoe.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Will, I appreciate you taking the time away from the Bone Clone booth to sit down and chat with us a little bit about it. We've loved having you around here. You're a fantastic example of ambassadors in the sport. So, thank you for sitting down with us and chatting about nationals. And, we look forward to seeing you guys at many more events.
Well, thank you, Domenick. Bone Clone is proud to be here, and we love the sport, and we look forward to growing with the sport.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Todd, and I'm here at the Nationals on Sunday morning talking to Roger Meadows. Roger, how's your day started?
Good.
Okay, tell us where you're from and how old you are.
I am from West Virginia, and I am 12 years old.
Yep, and you have been to the Nationals for many years, I've seen you
I
here.
have.
Enjoying this one so far?
Yes, I am.
So we're at a new location. What do you think about the new grounds here at the Ballard Nature Center?
They're good.
There's plenty of things for you to do, right?
There is.
I saw you guys fishing.
Yes.
So the big question everybody wants to know is, did you catch any fish?
No.
That means you personally or nobody caught fish?
Me personally.
Yeah, because I saw a couple. Well, they caught some bass out there, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah. And you've been super busy this weekend because one minute I look and you are selling candy bars for a fundraiser, right?
Yup.
The next minute I look, you're doing card tricks. How did that go? Did it work out every time?
Good.
The card?
It did.
Okay. And in between that time, you're running your dog. So what dog are you running this weekend?
Stella.
And how does she done? Have you run her yet today, or you still have to go?
I still have to go.
How did your first two runs go?
Good.
Her times were good, and she was paying attention to you and minding?
Yup.
Okay. Well, we're certainly glad to have you here. Your brother won. What did he win? Youth Handler of the Year last night?
No. He got nominated for it.
Oh, that's right. He was one of our nominees.
Yep.
So maybe you in the future, huh?
Yep.
You don't have any intention of giving up shed dogs yet. You're gonna keep going.
I am.
And your whole family's here, so you must enjoy coming with the whole family, going to the shed dog events. What else do you like to do when you're not at a shed dog event, when you're at home? What are some of your hobbies?
Playing video games.
Playing video games. What about hunting? Do you guys go
Yes.
hunt with
We
your mom
hunt.
and dad?
Yep.
What all do you hunt? Deer and turkeys?
Deer and turkey.
Yeah. And get in some fishing time in between there.
Yep.
Ride your bikes. Yeah. Well, it's certainly fun to have you back at the Nationals, and glad that you like the new location, and we can plan on seeing you back here next year, right?
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Roger.
You're welcome.
Okay, this is Todd, and I have got Tucker Gamble here this morning, at Sunday morning at the Nationals. How's your day started out, Tucker?
Pretty good.
Okay, tell us where you're from and how old you are.
I went to Kentucky and I'm 10 years old.
Yep. And this is not your first nationals?
Nope.
Okay, so tell us who are you running this year at the nationals?
Little D.
Little D. And how do you think your first 2 days have gone?
Pretty good.
So you still have this afternoon to run. Youth will run after working. When you say pretty good, I think you're being a little modest. Wouldn't you say very good?
I got in that field over there, and I got stuck a little bit.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about little D. How old is she?
She's turning 3 years old in, I think, May.
Okay. Now, you guys have multiple dogs you bring to the nationals. How did you happen to pick little D as the dog you wanted to run?
I just mess with her more, really.
Yeah, when it comes to training. So would you say she handles the best for you and her have like a little bond? And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's good. So I happened to be out there on one of the courses when on the first morning, on Friday, when you ran little D, and I had to leave, but I was shocked at how fast she picked up her first 2 antlers. Do you have a strategy when you go out there, or do you just let her run, or do you go in knowing, do you have a strategy on how you want to work the course?
I just go around the boundaries.
Okay. And she hunts hard, and she hunts the
Yeah.
center while you're going around the outside and scooping up. And yeah, that's super. Well, listen, we hope to see you up here this afternoon getting an award, but you never know how it's going to play out, right?
Yeah.
So go out there, have confidence. Little D's got your back, and we hope you guys have a good run. Oh, what do you think about the new location this year? Do you like it here?
Yeah.
Think we should come back?
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots to do, right? You guys have ponds to fish in and good places to ride your bikes and scooters. And what would you say is your favorite part about the Nationals?
Just running dogs.
Running dogs, yep. And seeing some of the kids that you see all throughout the year. And
Yeah.
you guys have like a big reunion here and everybody's having fun, it looks like. So, all right. Well, we want to thank you for being here. First of all, can we count on seeing you back here next year?
Yeah.
Okay. And good luck on your run this afternoon.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this is Todd. It's Sunday morning at the Nationals, and I have pulled aside Levi Lewis to see how his weekend is going. What can you tell me, Levi? You having fun?
Yeah, it's been fun, especially with a fishing pond on site, and I just like seeing all my shed dog friends and getting to run Monroe and trying to win.
Yep. And you were one of the first persons I thought of when I pulled in here and saw a fishing pond for kids. I thought, oh man, those Lewis kids need to bring their tackle.
I know.
So the question is, who caught the biggest fish of the weekend?
Oh,
The first one you caught was pretty nice. You caught a nice bass, right?
yeah,
First day.
2-pounder.
Has anybody else caught one bigger in that sense?
No, not yet. A little kid, Wyatt, he caught a little bluegill and a little bass, but I just caught Zach has caught a big bluegill, but
Yeah.
I've just caught a little 2-pound bass.
Well, it's nice to have that, right? In between runs, you got something to do, and all you guys, we see each other around the country, and then you come together. When I stopped by, there were 6 or 7 of you fishing down there yesterday.
I know, we were all at that corner with bobbers,
Yeah.
with worms.
Yep. Well, you've been to many nationals. I've seen you since the very first national when it was held there in
Yeah, Bentonville,
Yeah,
which was the best because it was super close to us.
yeah, that was right on the corner from your house.
I
but-
know, 15 minutes.
So yeah, it's changed locations a few times, but I think so far everybody's pretty happy with the facility here at this one.
Yeah, last year's banquet place was the best. I like that the most.
That little stone building there,
Yeah.
But last night's we had a little bit more room in there.
Yeah, it was way bigger.
So congratulations to you. You were one of this year's youth nominations
Yep.
for Youth Handler of the Year.
Yeah.
That means you went to a lot of events during the year.
I know we definitely went to Scott and Amy's, Travis and Jen's. I don't think we've gone to any of the normal ones we normally go to. We've gone to Scout and Antlers, which is personally one of my favorites.
Okay. Yeah, so
we've
you
just
get
been to a
you
lot
get
of
to see a
events.
lot of events. What is it that you like about the Elite Shed Dog series and loading up with your mom and dad on a Friday night or Friday morning and heading out? What is it?
It's probably just being there, seeing friends, and running dogs.
Okay, let's talk about the dogs. So this year you are running,
Monroe.
and is this the first year you ran Monroe at the Nationals? Because you used to run.
Last year I ran Cree.
That's
One
right. That's right.
yeah.
And
And
then
then
Tough.
yeah, I used to run Tough, and then one year I think I ran Clutch.
Yeah. So you've had a lot of experience at it, and you're not just busy with the shed dogs. You're busy with 4-H too.
Yeah.
I know. I see the pictures of you guys at 4-H. So what animals do you typically take to 4-H to fair?
This year is the first year we're not doing ducks, and this year we're just kind of doing turkeys.
Oh, doing turkeys. That's your specialty now.
Yeah, I've been doing really good with turkeys.
There you go. So, well, hey, do you have a couple of good runs with Monroe so far coming into Sunday? You got something to work with?
No, not really. With the only really thing I have to work with is her spitting out the antlers.
Oh yeah.
So when she's running back, I gotta say hold so she doesn't spit the antlers out
But
at me.
she's pretty young still.
Yeah, only 2 years old.
Yeah, and she must be fast.
Yeah, she is.
she
a
looks
fast
fast.
dog.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad you're here. We can count on seeing you again next year, I assume.
Yeah.
And we forgot to tell people, how old are you and where are you from?
I'm 10 and I'm from West Union, Ohio.
Yep. So, well, we're certainly glad to have you back at the Nationals and look forward to seeing you next year. And good luck on your run this afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay, it's Sunday afternoon at the Nationals, and I've got Ben Leger with me from Canada. Welcome. How was
Thank
your
you.
weekend?
Weekend was pretty good. Yeah. Yeah.
We
It's always awesome
certainly
to come up.
appreciate the support. You guys are our international contingency from Canada. And you brought down a pretty good group with you. Who's all with you this weekend?
I've got my 2 sons with me, my sister-in-law, and my in-laws with me this year. Unfortunately, my spouse couldn't come across this year with us.
Yeah,
so.
but you guys, I think last year your first national, or is this your
No,
third?
2 years ago for me. Yeah.
Okay.
So we did working the first year, and now champion and
I
youth.
remember first talking to you when you guys were starting to get things going up there, and wasn't it through your hunting retriever club group that actually got started in the shed dogs?
Yes. So Georgian Bay Hunting Retriever Club. Basically, we started a branch called Georgian Bay Shed Dogs, and started getting participants involved, and it's been pretty successful so far.
I have thought right from the start that it's a good fit for some of the HRC people because, I mean, you've seen the same thing I have. We got different breeds of dogs out here. It's not finding the antlers really not the trouble for most dogs of all the breeds. It's the retrieve.
Yeah.
Right. So if
I
you have
agree.
a conditioned retrieve, and most of the HRC dogs do, it's simply introducing them to the scent and some basics. But the HRC dogs adapt very quickly, wouldn't you say?
100% they do, yeah.
Yeah.
The HRC are upland dogs. They can hunt, they can cover ground, and then it's the retrieve part that usually gets most non-retriever
That's right.
breeds. So
That's right.
I found that the HRC dogs that have experience in HRC do very well in the sport.
Yep, I think
And it's a fun, dynamic sport.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. What do you are you seeing growth in Canada right now, do you think?
We are, yeah. Our first year, we had a lot of people from Michigan come to our event.
To support you, which is what the Shed
yes,
Dog
which
family
is great.
does.
Yeah. This year we're seeing a lot more dogs from Ontario and from Canada in general.
Yeah.
So I think out of we have 26 dogs in champion registered for our event coming up in April.
That's great.
And I think only a handful are from the States. All the rest are from Ontario. So it's
and
nice
you told
to
me
see
you
that.
have a seminar coming up in Quebec, don't you?
Yeah. So we have a seminar on shed hunting, like general shed hunting with dogs, and also the competitive side of
Let
shed
them know
hunting.
there is a sport.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, for sure. So I'm hoping to get it started there as well, or at least promote the sport and see where it goes.
And you'll be doing that seminar in French.
I will be. Yeah, French is my first language. If you haven't figured it out by now. So we'll be doing that seminar through Canadian Antler Dogs, which is also how we sell bone clone in Canada now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been great and it's growing.
Super interesting. We're so glad you guys came down. Did you put together some good runs this weekend? I know your dogs.
Unfortunately, no. I had the reality check with my one dog and timed out yesterday. So, handler error on that one. Yeah, I thought happens. I had picked from a zone that I was actually a different zone that I had picked from. So I spent the rest of my time in two zones, and one was my blank, and the other one I had picked from. So, but that certainly happens. The two kids got national passes, and
excellent.
And I got a national pass with another dog.
You know, that's the one thing you can't control is wind and things like that, and it all factors in, and that's really what separates a lot of these top dogs. Is that could be the matter of the wind when they run the course.
Oh yeah, and it's great and fun, and everyone's been so welcoming to us as well. So we love the Shed Dog family and all the atmosphere and all that. So
I agree. And how about the new location? You think it checks all the boxes for you to come to a?
It does for me. It's about an hour and a half closer as well. So that's one of the boxes it checks. Yeah. Very nice grounds. Everything's. I feel like you don't have to watch the kids as much. They're playing on the playground. Yeah. The pond was great. So my son caught a bass a couple days ago too. Catch and released it, so that was great to do a little bit of fishing while we're here and let the kids enjoy the property as well.
Well, it's certainly good. Anything we can do to help grow the sport in Canada, you got my number, and you and we can reach out to the HRC people, or they'll reach out to us and say, "What is this?" I think we're going to get more support from them.
Yeah,
I think some of the trainers are definitely getting support from the Shed Dog community to put fetch or holds on their dog. I've talked to some of the pros in the States, and they're like, "Man, I'm getting calls from Shed Dog people."
Yeah.
And I thought they would.
And I think it's catching on our way as well. And I want to put it out there that if anyone's interested in starting a club in Ontario or in Canada in general, you feel free to reach out to me, and I'll give you a hand.
Or if they reach out to me, I'll send them to you. How's that?
That works for me as well. And we can chat, and we're welcoming people. We can help apprentice some judges. So if anyone's interested in Canada, reach out to us for sure. Georgian Bay Shed Dogs, or through Todd, UKC.
Yep. All right. Well, certainly glad to have you. We'll look forward to seeing you next year.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We'll be here.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Okay, I've got Gideon and Danielle Fuchs sitting down at the microphone. Welcome to the National Championship this year. Tell me how it's been so far for you.
It's been all right. We haven't had the showing that we had hoped
for.
The
dogs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but we
that
haven't
happens,
had any
right?
timeouts.
That's part of it.
Yes. It's the biggest stage, so there's a lot of factors. 3 days, different courses, different wind. I mean, there's a lot to it, but we were consistent. I mean, no crazy slow times. We also didn't have any crazy fast times.
Yeah.
But we came into this with a little bit different mindset this year. We wanted to just have a really fun weekend.
Hey.
And then when we got here, there were some things that were going on that just further affirmation.
It was a somber start, wasn't it?
Yeah. But we wanted to just have a really good time and have good runs with the dogs and enjoy the family time and the friend time. And so
and the girls
it's still
are
a good
here
nationals. Yes.
With you. They're not old enough to run yet. That's soon.
No.
That's coming soon.
Still have a year and a half for Oakley, but she's anxious to be able to.
There's a lot of clubs now doing like a mini youth or a button buck category. And so we've been able to take her and let her run a dog. So now that's like expected from her.
I had not heard that yet, but that's a good idea.
Yeah. So they set out 3 antlers like in plain sight, and like it's right before awards normally. So like the whole crowd's there. So like when they get done, everyone's cheering for these like 3-year-olds. And now our daughter, when we go and run, her question is, when do I get to run a dog? Like it's expected now, which is really cool.
Yeah. Well, you guys have quite the history. I know. I like to tell the story of our very first national championship, and I talked to this guy, Gideon Fuchs, and I get a judge confirmation from him, which I was desperately needing, right? And so I was so happy. Then he walks in, I meet him at the first national. I thought, oh man, he's a lot younger than I thought, thought he was.
Yeah, I was very surprised to get asked. I thought, 26
What
or
year-
7
yeah,
years
what-
old?
yeah.
Because that was 2019, the first
Okay.
nationals, right?
Yep,
In Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's fun, but I've seen you guys, well, every year since, or
yeah,
did you? Yeah.
every year.
There was
we-
one that was going to be a weekend that was tough for you, and ironically, I had to change
Yes.
the weekend anyway.
Oh,
yeah,
for a wedding.
I was best man in a wedding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
It's
I
about the
told-
only thing that would take us away from
yeah.
this weekend.
But I told Gideon I did it especially for him, which is not exactly the truth. But anyway, so
we were
yeah, you
happy to
guys
be
have
there.
some history with the Nationals. What do you think about the new location? Because you've seen 3 locations now.
Yes, yeah. No, I like this location. You had me worried on parking, but that all worked out.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that was good. I think courses were good. I liked all that, and
This
think-
headquarters building is certainly more comfortable.
yes,
Yes.
and the
Yes.
well, the event center last night was awesome
Yep.
too
Yeah.
because lots of room and it fit everyone perfect. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a fan of the grounds you got here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought good courses. Like I liked the layout of the courses, and then it's also nice when you have them close enough. They're all within walking distance, but also still far enough apart that you're not running on top of each other.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's really nice.
Except for that course 4 was like a mile away.
Well, that one was a waste.
I was thinking of the one last year at Ren Lake. We had to walk people down the road quite a ways to get to that last course too. So as I'm standing back, I'm like, it's not too much.
No,
further,
it's
but-
really not.
But that's a hard thing to find when you go to put on an event where you can run 6 courses simultaneously. It's like, man, that is really a hard box to check.
Yes.
With a facility as well,
Yeah.
big enough for
Okay. Also, we have to congratulate Gideon on your nomination for Ambassador of the Year. That is quite an honor.
Hey, thank you very much. Yeah, and that's the second year being nominated. Truly honored to be in that group and be considered an ambassador.
Well, it's well deserved. Those nominations go to people who do the most for our sport. That has a different look for different people. I know you guys have been super helpful to new people, but one of the things I want to talk about that you're doing is a very successful podcast for the sport of shed dog and shed hunting. So congratulations on that. And it's going well, I assume, or you're going to continue?
Oh yeah, we have lots of ideas brewing, people to get on. Yeah, it's something we really enjoy, and it's been fun. Like our main goal is just providing information. So like on the trial part, but also like just people getting started with a dog that's shed hunting. And we like it's something we're just passionate about.
And you're focusing on wild shed hunting,
Yeah.
talking about the events a little bit. It's a perfect mix.
Yeah, so like we really enjoy it. We have lots of ideas going. Just got to get them pinned down and chase the people down that we want to have on and get recorded. But it's a lot of fun and something that we plan to do for a long time.
Well, it's you're doing a great job with it. So
Well,
I
thank
want
you.
to commend you on that. And yeah, tell people how they can find you. I get asked all the time, and that's one of the places I send them is to you because there's not a lot of information out there.
Not a
now. I'm
ton.
guessing it's continuing to grow still.
Mhm.
People are still learning about shed hunting and realizing it's a thing.
Yeah.
yes.
So
Always
tell them how
growing.
they can find you.
Yeah, so we should be on any major streaming platform. So Spotify, your Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio app, any of those. And if you don't have any of those, you can just go to our Kansas Shed Dogs page on Facebook or Instagram, and we'd have a link there as well that would get you to it.
And just how we close out every one of your podcasts. And don't forget to leave us a comment.
Yes, yeah, very important.
The pitch.
Very helpful.
The pitch, yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. It's always fun to see you guys at events and appreciate your support and everything you do for the sport.
Well, thank
So,
you, Todd. And
we'll
thank
see-
you for all your work putting on nationals. I know that's a big event.
Yeah.
But I think it's ran
Ran great.
smooth.
It
Yeah.
has. And at the end, you can step back and take a deep breath and say, it was worth it. It's worth it.
There's a sigh of relief after
Yeah.
the event, I'm sure.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep, we've got another episode coming up where I sit down with all of our winners of the national and all of our elite winners. So make sure to check that out as well.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast. Be sure to give us a follow so you don't miss any of our new episodes or content.